And welcome to another edition of BCSN Sports Flash. Blake Frankie here with you, and we have a good time talking to a lot of outstanding athletes from the area. It's always especially fun to get siblings together, and we've done that here again today. We've got two, which now I guess we call them former Notre Dame soccer players. Dena Deeb, who just competed this last year. She was a senior at Notre Dame, and Natalie, her older sister, and had a couple of really good years together playing at Notre Dame. So thanks for being with us, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Now, one thing I always learned something here tonight, because I always thought, thinking about your game, Dena, like you were really aggressive and you really went after the ball and you weren't to be denied and all that. And sometimes maybe you had to do that because you weren't maybe had the same kind of physical stature as the players you were going against. And I didn't really remember you as being that way, but you told me that you were that way too, but you just did it a little differently.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
I was always like in the midfield or like outside mid, so like Dena was like up top, like trying to score, so like there was like a lot of focus when you're like near the goal, but I was like farther away from the goal and like had to pass the ball up to like the forward, so like I could like get away with more things, like kind of not in the final third of the field. So I don't know, I would just like do what I needed to do to get the ball up to the forwards to score.
It just wasn't as noticeable.
Yeah.
Now, and you see what? She only got one card in your whole career? Was that
I know
it?
it was for something I didn't even do.
That's when they always get you, the time when you didn't do it. How many cards did you get in your career? Did you lose count?
One. Oh, I don't know. Like probably like 4 or 5.
But you didn't deserve any of them.
No, of course not.
Now,
No.
Did you ever tell her, now, you got to be a little more subtle about this sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to pick your
Yeah,
spots
like,
a little bit more.
For sure, because like when you're in like the final third and like you're about to score, you have to like be picky with like what you're about to throw at the person, because it could like take away your like chance to score. So just got to calm her down sometimes.
But it was a big part of your effectiveness, though,
Yeah.
certainly being able to play that way, along with just excellent skills, which we'll talk about. But a lot of times that happens when the older sibling is playing and then the younger sibling comes along. The younger sibling is always sort of around, and they're watching practice and they're kicking around with the ball or bouncing the ball, whatever sport it happens to be, and that helps them really develop their skills. Is that what happened with you guys when you were younger?
Yeah, like if some girls like didn't have like teammates at home that they could practice with, but like I always had her, so we would like go outside and use like the concrete as like lines and play like soccer, tennis, and just like get touches on the ball, or like hit our garage, and like our dad would be like, hey, stop hitting the house with the ball.
Chipping the paint off,
Yeah.
right? I had that when I shot hockey pucks against my neighbor.
Yeah.
That didn't go over too well either. But
Yeah, we like broke our garage light, like punting the ball up and like settling it. And
It
so,
wasn't my fault though. It was her fault.
So like just like stuff like
just
that.
like the cards, they weren't your fault.
No.
Right? And a lot of times it happens too, where when the two siblings play together a lot, they sort of develop styles that
Yeah.
sort of mesh well. And you were sort of the distributor, I guess you'd say, and then you were the finisher, and
Yeah.
that was evident watching you play. Was that the way it was, like going way back?
Yeah. We always kind of had like just like a really good bond between us. We've always been so close, and like the way she plays, like I understand like where she's gonna go, and she understands like I can dribble like far up the field, so she'll just play the ball through to me, and like it just always worked out between us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is an apt way to describe it, that you kind of set Dena up and Dena finished a lot. And that reminds me of the story. The first time that I ever really got to understand this was we were out there at that super scrimmage they have in Perrysburg at the start of every year, and we were covering a different game, but you guys were out there playing, and word sort of came that a couple of fields away, one of the top goalies in the country was playing for one of the teams, and somebody beat her for like a sophomore, beat her from 50 yards out. And I mean, it was like there was a buzz all over the place, and it turned out you were the one that did it. So you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. That was a fun time. I remember just like turning around, shooting the ball, and like watching the ball just go over her, and it was just like an amazing moment. Just like everything about it was great.
But here was the thing. That same play happened, I don't know how many times. I must have seen you do that a half dozen times over the years. Is that something you really worked on, is shooting from long range like that? Did you have a knack for it, or was it something you really had to try to develop?
I practiced a lot with it because when I was younger, I was really small. I mean, I still am, but like I wasn't able to like kick the ball as far as I am now. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna keep practicing. So like people can't be like, no, you can't take corners. Like you can't kick the ball that far. So like I would always like take time after practice to like set up like targets on the goals and like shoot from like the 18, like half, and like just see how far I could kick it. Just so I could like get the hang of it, so like people can stop telling me what I can't do.
Well, so that's how you started your career, and then you ended it, and it was kind of, I guess, sad from your standpoint. You lost at Anthony Wayne, but it was a great game. But you scored one of the best goals I ever imagined. Like you were kind of like going off with it with your back to the goal out at midfield, and then you sort of swung back the other way and then went through like 3 players at once and then shot from 40 yards out and scored. I mean, have you scored too many goals like that?
Yeah, usually it's like I'm always off balance when I'm shooting all the time, but somehow I just find like my way through players and like always look for like side net. And it's just like really fun to like see like my team celebrate with me. It's just a great feeling.
Yeah, well, there was certainly a celebration after that goal. So now, what are you doing now? You're majoring, Natalie, in healthcare administration, correct?
Yep.
And I would think we've had a few that have done that, and with everything with the new healthcare law and all that, it's very complex, from what I understand. Are you starting to see that right now?
Yeah, I just took some courses that are more like specialized towards that, and like I'm just like getting the hang of like being able to read that type of like technical like just like writing. So it'll take time, but I think it's like coming right now.
Because I hear a lot of people are leaving that field kicking and screaming because it's like, I don't want to even
have to
mess with this. So
it's just my sophomore year, so we'll see.
but somebody's got to do it. It's very important. So please hang in there. Now, what about you? What are you going to major in?
I'll probably major in marketing, so something like that, because I like math. I don't know, no one ever really says that, but.
So any thoughts at all about continuing to play soccer?
I don't know right now. I most likely will play club, but I'll definitely like keep with it, like playing with friends and stuff in indoor teams.
And then maybe you guys will play together again, right?
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
sir, that would be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
it always is enjoyable when siblings get to play together, and you guys had a real chemistry out there for sure, and it was a pleasure watching both of you, and then you 2 years after after Natalie graduated. So thanks for being in with us here tonight.
Yep. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That's Dena and Natalie Deeb, sister combination for Notre Dame soccer. Greg Frankie saying so long. Another edition of BCSN Sports Flash.